Building a business is hard, and bootstrapping one with your own money is even harder. That's what makes today's video incredibly impressive. We're going to be covering the 4 tactics that John Youngfook used in order to scale his company Banner Bear from 0 to over 200K in annual recurring revenue in under 2 years. By the end of this video, you're going to have 4 tactics that you can start thinking about to apply to your own business. Hey, I'm Will. Welcome back to the channel. I'm a startup founder and operator and lover of building things on the internet. Tell me what you're building in the comments below, and let's dig into these 4 tactics. The first thing we need to go over is, what does Banner Bear even do? Banner Bear makes it easy to auto-generate social media results, e-commerce banners, as well as dynamic email images and more through an API and direct integration. The reason why this is super cool is because from personal experiences, the old school way of achieving this is to delegate some task to a virtual assistant and have them prep some sort of banner images for you for whatever it is that you're creating content on. However, what John's created here is he's made a programmatic way in which you can create those sorts of images without needing a person involved in the process. What this means is, for example, if you had just released a WordPress post and you had a Zap that essentially queued into a Google Sheet saying that this post was created, you could feed that data through directly into Banner Bear and have a beautiful image that you could use for that post on your Twitter, Instagram, or whatever social media account you wanted to share it on. Now that we understand what Banner Bear does, let's dig into tactic number 1. The first tactic that John has used really effectively in growing Banner Bear is building in public. Since the very beginning, John has been very public on both Twitter and on Indie Hackers in sharing all of his learnings, failures, and everything along the way in his journey from getting from his goal of 0K to 20K a month in revenue. You can scroll all the way back for a long period of time to learn about John as a person, as a founder, as well as the trials and tribulations of building a company himself. He also shares more in depth in long form content on Indie Hackers, some of the lessons that he's picked up in his journey. The reason why this is super powerful is because this public accountability makes it easier for potential prospects of his in the future to learn more about him, what he values, as well as the things that he's experiencing as a founder, so that they start to like him over longer periods of time. For example, at the beginning of 2020, he openly shared how the prior version of Banner Bear actually failed to find product market fit, as well as where he was going from here, what he was trying to accomplish next in his building process. This is a great example of modern day marketing because by sharing his journey openly, he gets more people to like him over periods of time and also attracts the sort of people that he wants as customers. The sort of people that are following John are also potentially his core audience because these are the people that are likely creating things online as well. When building in public, John makes sure to position Banner Bear around him. And you can see this on the website when you scroll far enough on the page to join his newsletter. He talks about following the journey, where every 2 weeks he shares about what's going on in product, marketing, and the business itself. This is something that Alex over at Groove HQ, as well as Nathan Barry over at ConvertKit have done so effectively over the years. The second tactic that Banner Bear has used so effectively is showing and not telling. Sales and marketing are important, but in today's day and age in which there's a demo and trial for everything, it's really important that you're effective in showing and not telling. This is what John quickly realized with Banner Bear, and that's why a lot of his marketing pages on his website are interactive tools and widgets that you can use in order to see certain parts of Banner Bear as a product without actually having full access to Banner Bear. For example, one of the tools he's created on his site is called the multi-image demo. And what this allows you to do is play around with different backgrounds and faces and things like that, and then click generate images. And what happens is this celebratory modal, which essentially shows you the auto-generated images that Banner Bear could also do for your business. By creating these sorts of tools and widgets that give a little taste of what it is, it's kind of like the equivalent of when you go to Costco and you're getting all of those free samples. Aside from the multi-image tool, John also does this in other ways with what he calls the tweetogram. And what I've gone ahead and done here is I've fed in one of John's tweets so that we can try to see what Banner Bear could do in terms of generating an auto-generated image for his own tweet. So you can see here that this is a beautiful image that gives you a few different options that you can use when it comes to auto-generating images. By creating these sorts of tools and widgets, John is reducing the friction that it takes for you and me to understand what Banner Bear does and understand the value proposition of Banner Bear. The takeaway for you here is to isolate and take out a core feature or attribute of the service that you're providing, and then give them a taste of that. Give them that Costco sample so that they are enticed to learn more about your business or whatever it is that you are selling. Before we dig into tactic number 3, hit that like button below if you're enjoying this video. The third tactic that John does so effectively is create dual-purpose content and product marketing. Content marketing is great for engaging prospects in a topic related to what it is that your business solves, but incorporated with product marketing, it becomes even more powerful. If you can find a way to address search intent and integrate your own product into that piece of content, it becomes a great natural selling opportunity for people to learn more about your business. This is what John does so effectively with his marketing efforts. If you hop onto his site and you take a look at what he calls the marketing automation blog, all of the content that he's creating in here, when I look at view all tutorials, is related to topics around the things that Banner Bear also solves. If we were to hop into one of his posts on auto-generating images with Integromat, what you can see that this is an SEO optimized page. On the left-hand side, there's the proper use of headers in order to signal to Google what this page is about. They are clearly targeting the different attributes around this piece of content of what is intent for informational content, as well as how-to content later on when it's talking about how to actually do these things in Banner Bear. And so what John is doing so effectively here is he's creating an opportunity to fulfill search intent while also talking about how Banner Bear solves the problem that the person is searching for. This approach is clearly working, and the best way to see this is to actually jump into the Google side of things and search for a similar phrase to see where this post ranks. So here I am in Google searching for the phrase generating images with Integromat. Generating images with Integromat. And lo and behold, what you can see is that the third result below the actual brand itself is Banner Bear. So John is clearly effective here, and you can tell that because he is ranking right below the actual brand term of Integromat. What John is doing here is he's pulling a play from Zapier's playbook. If you haven't seen my growth strategies breakdown of Zapier recently, check out that video after you watch this one. Essentially, the tactic is to talk about another brand that's closely related but not directly competitive with you, and then to work in an integration page so that when people are searching for things around that brand, they might stumble upon your brand. When we dig into Banner Bear's open metrics, we see that this approach is clearly working. And the reason why is because his marketing pages are getting 1,000 daily visits. This is important because this means that every single day, John gives himself another 1,000 at-bats at converting somebody to a free trial, and then from there, converting that free trial into a paid user. The fourth thing that John has done so effectively with Banner Bear is he's optimized his pricing. One of the most powerful levers for you as a business owner, especially when you are doing everything yourself, is your pricing. Back in the last company I co-founded, we went through different iterations of our pricing models every single year because we often found that we were leaving money on the table with our customers. They were willing to pay double or even triple what we were charging the year before just because of the value that we were giving them on an annual basis. John came to a similar realization in November 2019 when he decided to 5x his pricing. He realized that a lot of indie hackers underpriced their product and that his $9 a month pricing was not going to scale well with his business. This decision to 5x his pricing paid huge dividends for him because it changed the economics entirely for his timeline of being successful with Banner Bear. In the case where John had stayed at $9 a month per customer, he'd be only at around 2.5K in monthly recurring revenue. However, because he decided to 5x his pricing and attract the right sort of customers, he's able to generate around 20K in monthly recurring revenue with under 300 customers. I know that it can be super daunting to raise pricing on your customers. However, it's something that I encourage you to push the envelope on to truly understand what the value is that you are providing for your customers. If you're helping them, for example, generate 100K in additional revenue, you increasing your annual billing from 1K to 2K shouldn't matter to them. Also, ironically, in the past, what I've noticed is that when you increase your pricing, you increase the perceived value of your product. So as a result, people feel more willing to pay, they are more likely to use your product, and it leads to more successful outcomes for your customers. John has done a lot of things right with Banner Bear, and it won't be long before he doubles his ARR. But what you have to realize is that this has not been just a 2-year journey with John. In fact, if you were to look at his LinkedIn profile, he spent years working in different businesses as he gained the skill sets that he needed in order to build his own business. Before he started building Banner Bear, he spent some time being the head of digital product and design at Aviva, as well as a director at 2412 Systems. John, if you watch this video, major props to you and keep going. For everybody else watching this video though, I hope you'll realize that you don't need to quit your job in order to build something. All you need to do is commit to being open with sharing your learnings and commit to the process of exploring things and trying different things and providing value for others. Speaking of which, now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments below, what's your biggest takeaway from today's video? I have a content marketing jumpstart kit, which I'll leave a link to in the video description as a thank you for sticking around. If you got value out of this video, be sure you hit that like button, consider subscribing, and check out more of my content over here. In the meantime, I'll look forward to chatting with you guys in the comments below.